When I was in premature labor, Tom abandoned me to stay by his first love's side, just because she showed signs of preterm labor. That's how my daughter ended up in the neonatal intensive care unit as soon as she was born. He comforted me, saying, "At least our daughter survived, didn't she? Amy almost died with her baby." Later, my daughter and his first love's son were both trapped in a fire. Without hesitation, Tom chose to save his first love's son first. And so, my daughter was burned alive in the flames. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my daughter died in that fire. "Mom, I'm going out to play with Brooks." Doreen's cute little figure stood in front of me, waving her hand. Everything in front of me pulled me back to that day, the raging fire that swallowed my daughter. I had completely lost her. The heart-wrenching pain made it impossible to breathe, and I practically lunged forward, tightly hugging Doreen as my body trembled. "Baby, please don't leave Mommy, I beg you." Doreen's tiny hands gently patted my back. Her childish voice was tender but carried a healing strength. "Mommy, what's wrong?" "I won't go anymore. I'll stay home with you." "Don't cry, Mommy, I'll never leave you." It all felt so real. I had been reborn. Heaven had shown me mercy and brought me back to before Doreen's accident. "Doreen." Amy's son, Brooks, was calling Doreen from outside. I held Doreen tighter, a flame igniting in my heart. On this day in my past life, Brooks came to play with Doreen, and I didn't think anything of it. Who could have known he'd end up playing with fire? When the fire broke out, Brooks abandoned Doreen and left her to burn in the flames alone. Later, Tom risked his life to enter the fire. But the child he brought out wasn't our daughter, Doreen. It was Amy's son, Brooks. An overwhelming hatred churned inside me. I glanced upstairs. Tom was in his study. I whispered to Doreen, "Go tell Brooks that you're staying home with Mommy." Doreen nodded her little head and ran to the door. "Brooks, I'm not going out to play. I want to stay home with Mommy." "Fine, suit yourself. I'm going on my own." Doreen ran back and continued comforting me. "Mommy, are you feeling better now? Let me take care of you." I hugged Doreen again, a constant stream of warmth and strength filling my heart. My baby was right here with me. She wasn't like in my previous life, when the next time I saw her, she was a small, charred corpse. Small and silent, lying there. I knelt on the ground, overwhelmed with grief. In that moment, I wished I had been the one to die. But where was Tom? Doreen's biological father was holding Amy and Brooks tightly, as if they were a family of three. I was furious, seething with hatred, and rushed over to shove them apart. "Tom. Your daughter is dead. Doreen is dead. What are you doing? Why didn't you save Doreen? She's your biological daughter." It seemed like only then did Tom realize I was there. His face was blackened from the smoke, but I could see a trace of sorrow in his iron-cold eyes. "Janice, the dead can't come back to life. Maybe Doreen just wasn't meant to be with us." Our daughter had died, and he was only vaguely sad? I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. "Tom, it should have been you who died." Brooks immediately burst into tears. Tom's brow furrowed, and he scolded me sharply, "Janice, you're scaring Brooks." The murmurs of the crowd were ringing in my ears. His daughter died, and he doesn't seem to care at all? Looks like Brooks is the one he truly cares about. I stared at Tom with venom in my eyes. Tom coldly averted his gaze, picked up Brooks, and walked away. As he left, he comforted him, "Don't be afraid, Brooks." Amy turned to watch them walk away, then turned back and sneered. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "You know, those people aren't wrong. Tom cares so much about Brooks. After all these years, Janice, you never suspected anything? You're such an idiot. It's good your daughter is dead. Now there's space for Brooks. After all, Brooks needs a father too. Your daughter enjoyed 4 years of fatherly love. Now it's time to give Brooks what he deserves." She owed Brooks that. I was the one who told Brooks to set the fire. I told him to run after it started. Your daughter owed my son, and I had to take it back for him. All these years, I never suspected anything. It was Amy who finally told me the truth. Watching Amy's smug smile, an uncontrollable wave of hatred surged in my heart. I had fallen into depression. And Tom stayed by Amy and Brooke's side the whole time. I wanted to die. I wanted to be with Doreen. But I couldn't die just yet. So, I called Tom, asking him to come home. I told him to bring Amy and Brooks. I said I wanted to talk things through with them, to end it all. The three of them came. I locked the door and triggered the gas explosion. The flames roared around us. I heard their screams, and I smiled. Doreen, Mommy has avenged you. Let them die the same way you did, and seek forgiveness from you in the afterlife. Amy was supposed to just let Brooks play with fire, but she never directly told him that starting a fire was meant to kill Doreen. So Doreen went with him, and Brooks went too. Children are always fascinated by dangerous things. The fire started in a garage in our neighborhood. I handed Doreen to the nanny, stepped outside the yard, and watched as Brooks ran into the garage all by himself. Soon, a loud boom echoed, and flames erupted. What will happen to Brooks this time? In the last life, this little boy was the one who set the fire that killed my daughter. I don't care about any laws protecting minors. Anyone who harmed my daughter deserves to die. Oh my God. How did the fire start? Amy rushed over from next door, yelling, "Janice, why are you just standing there? Call the fire department." I pulled my gaze away from the garage and turned to look at Amy, who was now standing beside me. Why don't you call the police? Amy glanced toward the property management office. Actually, we don't really need to. There's a water truck in the neighborhood, and it'll be here soon. The firefighters should be here quickly too, since this is a wealthy area. Amy moved here with Brooks 2 years ago. I knew about her relationship with Tom, but I treated them as ordinary friends. As a mother, I'd always looked out for Amy, a single mom, because I understood how hard it was to raise a child. And how did she repay me? I nodded in agreement. Yes, the firefighters will be here soon. Amy sighed. The fire is huge. There isn't anyone inside, right? I echoed her. Yeah, there's no one inside, right? If there is, they're probably not going to make it. Amy let out a small laugh. I frowned, staring at her coldly. Amy immediately straightened up. Sorry, I wasn't laughing at the situation. It's just, if someone were inside, they'd be completely charred by now, and I mean, surely no one's that unlucky. Not necessarily, I replied. Mommy. Doreen came running out. Mommy, is there a fire? I know, if there's a fire, we should call the fire department. Doreen? Amy's sharp voice cut her off. What, why are you home? Weren't you out playing with Brooks? I picked Doreen up and gave Amy a small smile. I wasn't feeling well, so Doreen stayed home to take care of me. Brooks went to play by himself. The color drained visibly from Amy's face, and she panicked. Suppressing a twisted sense of pleasure, I smiled and asked, where did Brooks go to play? Amy's terrified gaze darted toward the garage. Brooks! Brooks! Please be okay. She sprinted toward the garage in a frenzy. Letting her own child start a fire, all just to give him some so-called fatherly love. Only a lunatic like Amy could do something like that. I turned to look inside the house. Tom, a father like him, wasn't worth keeping. It must have been Amy's call that got him here, because soon enough, Tom came rushing out. I blocked his path, pretending to be anxious and worried. What's going on? Tom stopped, his usual calm and composed demeanor nowhere to be seen. He was clearly shaken. There's a fire. I'm worried someone might be inside. I need to check. I stepped aside with Doreen. All right, go ahead. Then I called the nanny to watch Doreen. Such a horrifying scene, Doreen shouldn't have to see it. By the time I got closer, Tom had already rushed into the fire, while Amy stood by, crying and shouting for him to save Brooks. I stood nearby, watching everything with cold eyes. In less than 10 minutes, Tom came out, carrying Brooks. Tom's face was blackened with soot, and his hair was singed, much like in the last life. Brooks, unconscious, was slumped in his arms. His clothes were torn and tattered, and his body was covered in severe burns. Amy screamed and threw herself at him. Brooks! Brooks, don't scare Mommy. You can't be hurt. Brooks! How did this happen? I told you to run after you set the fire. Amy, what did you just say? Tom roared, furious. You told Brooks to start the fire? Amy froze, then stammered, trying to deny it. No, I didn't. She started crying loudly. Brooks is like this, and you're asking about irrelevant things? Call an ambulance. Tom shot Amy a cold look, his voice dangerously low. If anything happens to Brooks, you and I are done. The crowd around us started to disperse. Tom, carrying Brooks, hurried away with Amy trailing behind. I could hear the neighbors whispering. That poor kid. Amy only has one child. If anything happens to him, she might go crazy. Who said she only has one kid? Look how concerned Mr. Tom is about that mother and son. Mr. Tom is such a good man. Anyone who didn't know better would think the three of them were a family. Don't talk nonsense, Miss Janice is right here. At that moment, Tom and Amy, carrying Brooks, walked by. Hearing the neighbors' comments, Tom paused and looked at me. Something flashed in his eyes. One of the neighbors apologized to me. I smiled casually, not bothered. It's fine. My husband is kind-hearted. He's always taken care of Amy and her son, treating Brooks as if he were his own. That's what he should do. After all, the weak are pitiful and need our care and support. Isn't that right, darling? Tom's dark eyes narrowed slightly, and he nodded. You're right. Amy, on the verge of losing it, shouted, Tom. Now's not the time to be chatting with her. Hurry and get Brooks to the hospital. Tom shot me one last glance, before rushing to the car with Brooks, who was still unconscious. Amy followed right behind. At dinner, Doreen asked, Mommy, aren't we waiting for Daddy? Isn't today his day off? Did he go back to work? I bent down and kissed Doreen on the cheek. Sweetheart, Daddy's busy. Isn't it nice having Mommy with you? From now on, whatever Doreen wants to do, Mommy will be with you. How about that? Doreen smiled brightly. Yes. I love playing with Mommy the most. I ruffled her hair. Let's eat. Sitting down again to eat with Doreen, I couldn't help but tear up as I watched her cheeks puff up with food. Doreen was still here, and that was everything. Tom didn't come home all night. It was better that way. I held Doreen in my arms all night without sleeping. She felt so real in my arms, but I was terrified that it was all a dream, and when I opened my eyes, she'd be gone. The next morning, when Doreen woke up, she snuggled closer. Mommy, can you sleep with me every night from now on? I kissed her forehead with a smile. Of course. After breakfast, I took Doreen to school. Watching her small figure disappear into the distance with her backpack, my heart felt emptier and emptier. But I knew this wasn't a dream. Doreen was really back with me. I couldn't just sit around, though. There was so much I needed to do for our future. Despite not sleeping all night, I felt energized. When I arrived at the office, Tom's assistant, Andy, rushed over to find me. Miss Janice, where is the president? His phone's unreachable, and the president of Wisdom Corporation has already arrived. Tom's dealing with something and won't be coming to the office for a while. I'll handle the project, I instructed. Give me the files, and I'll meet with the president of Wisdom Corporation. Andy frowned slightly. But the president considers this project very important. It's one of the key projects of the year. I smirked. What's the matter? Do you think I, the vice president, am unqualified to handle a key project, or do you doubt my ability? Andy panicked. No, that's not what I meant. I didn't make things difficult for him. Since I couldn't reach Tom, I called Amy instead. It took a while before she answered, her voice exhausted and laced with resentment. Janice, what do you want at a time like this? Are you happy that something happened to Brooks? If this were my previous life, I might have thought she was unfairly judging me. But now, I couldn't deny it, I was happy. I just couldn't show it. What are you saying, Amy? How could you think that of me? Amy seemed to have realized her attitude, and her tone softened a lot. Do you need something? I glanced at Andy and asked with fake concern, how's Brooks? Amy snapped, you were there, too. Why are you asking me? The image of Brooks being rescued from the fire flashed in my mind. His flesh was torn and bloody, it was disgusting. But compared to Doreen from my previous life, his injuries were nothing. I got to the point, Tom's assistant can't reach him. There's something urgent at the company. Have him answer the phone. At a time like this? Amy cried, Janice, right now, Brooks is the most important thing to Tom. The company doesn't matter. I had the phone on speaker, so Andy heard that, too. He immediately said, since the CEO can't come back, forget it. Brooks is more important. Amy hung up. I put my phone away and coldly asked Andy, you know Amy and Brooks? Andy clearly knew them, there was a flicker of guilt in his eyes. I've been with the CEO for years. Amy's his friend, so of course I know her. So, it wasn't just Tom and Amy hiding things from me, Andy was in on it, too. What about Tom's parents? In the past 2 years, they visited Doreen more frequently, but every time, they brought gifts for Brooks, too. They'd say, it's hard for Amy to raise a child on her own. We watched her grow up, so we try to help when we can. A chill crept over my heart. After composing myself, I continued, you heard what Amy said. Tom is at the hospital with Brooks, and he can't meet the CEO of Wisdom Tech. Give me the project files for Wisdom Tech. Yes, Andy nodded and went to retrieve the documents. As I was looking through them, I got a call from Tom. Janice, my phone just got charged. Were you trying to reach me earlier? I replied honestly, the CEO of Wisdom Tech is here. Andy came to see me, and I know you're with Brooks, so I'll handle the Wisdom Tech project. Can you manage it? Tom's voice was filled with concern, and I could hear the exhaustion in it. He probably hadn't slept all night. What else can we do? I asked, hesitating. Can you come back right now? How's Brooks doing? Before Tom could answer, I added, honestly, I think you should return. No matter how close you are to Amy, this project is worth billions for the company. Isn't that more important? Tom hesitated for a moment, then said, Janice, I really can't leave right now. Brooks, his injuries are really severe. I'm counting on you to handle things at the company. Thanks for your hard work. I let out a long sigh, all right then. Janice, Amy and I have been friends since childhood. I can't just leave her alone, especially now with Brooks being so young. He and Doreen were born on the same day. Think about it, what if it were Doreen? Tom was still trying to explain. I cut him off sharply, Tom, are you out of your mind? Comparing your daughter to this situation? That's not what I meant. Tom's voice was urgent. Enough, I get it. Just leave the company to me and focus on taking care of Brooks. I hung up. Tom still dared to mention that Doreen and Brooks were born on the same day. Doreen was born a month early. I had been very careful throughout the pregnancy, and my parents even hired a medical team for me. I followed every instruction from the doctors. I remember that day, Tom's mom came to visit and made me fish soup. She called me downstairs to drink it. As I was going down the stairs, I suddenly slipped and fell. There was so much blood. Tom's mom just stood there screaming. It was the housekeeper who called the ambulance and then phoned Tom, telling him to come back immediately. Tom arrived just before the ambulance and had barely stepped in when he got a call from Amy. He hung up and said to me, Janice, Amy is showing signs of premature labor. She's all alone, and I have to go be with her. Through the pain, I clutched Tom's clothes desperately. Tom, save our baby. Tom gave me one long look, then pried my hand away and left without looking back. That wasn't the first time he put Amy ahead of me, his wife. At that moment, I gave up on him completely. Doreen was sent straight to the neonatal unit after birth. I was bedridden and unable to move. Tom didn't visit me until the next day. When he saw my cold stare, he actually said, At least our daughter survived, didn't she? Amy almost died with her baby. Every time I think of that, I want to slap him and kick him. Now that I think about it, did Tom's mom tamper with the stairs that day? The housekeeper, who came with me from home, had always been very careful. She even wiped the stairs dry with a towel after cleaning. There's no way I could have slipped. But there were no cameras in the living room at the time, so there was no way to investigate. Still, I strongly suspect it was Tom's mom. After I got pregnant, she tricked me into going to Hong Kong to have the baby's gender checked. When she found out it was a girl, she was disappointed. Back then, I thought she just preferred boys. But now that I know Brooks is her grandson, I wonder if she didn't want Doreen to be born at all, so everything Tom had would go to Brooks. It's impossible to prove now. But this time, I won't let anyone take away what belongs to Doreen, not even a little. That afternoon, after picking Doreen up from school, I took her straight to my own home. I told my parents everything and asked them to help investigate every detail of Tom and Amy's relationship. I trust only my parents now. I also hired 4 people to watch over Doreen, just in case that lunatic Amy tries anything again. She had Brooks set the fire to kill Doreen, and now that her son is injured, I'm afraid she'll come after Doreen out of spite. With my parents' help, I can finally relax a little and focus on the company. After marrying Tom, I joined the family business. The 2 families merged, and I received some shares from Tom's family, while my family gave Tom some shares as well. Now, my parents have started to dilute Tom's shares in our company. Meanwhile, I've quietly acquired more shares in Tom's family business to strengthen my position. On the 3rd day of Brooks' hospital stay, Tom came home. He had lost weight, and the dark circles under his eyes showed how tired he was. I poured him a cup of hot tea. Is Brooks okay? I've been too busy to visit him these past few days. Tom sat on the couch, rubbing his eyes, then took the cup and simply said, "Just focus on the company. I've got Brooks covered." After a pause, as if realizing something, he added, "Amy is very fragile right now. She doesn't know what to do. If I don't help her, she'll fall apart." I sighed, "She is pitiful. You should help her, she's your friend, after all." Tom didn't drink the tea. He just stared at me silently, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Confused, I asked, "What is it? Why are you looking at me like that?" Tom put the teacup down, still not taking his eyes off me. He asked, "I've been spending all my time with another woman. Why don't you seem to care at all?" What was he trying to do? Make me jealous? I laughed. "What are you talking about? Amy isn't just any woman, she's your best friend. If I had a problem with her, I'd be being unreasonable." Tom frowned slightly, his gaze flickering, as if he were recalling something. He murmured, "But I remember you used to care a lot." "You mean when I gave birth prematurely?" I let a trace of sadness show. "I was heartbroken back then. You left me to go to Amy." Tom tried to explain, "But Doreen and I turned out fine, didn't we?" I smiled faintly. "And you said it yourself, Amy almost died with her baby." I didn't want to continue this conversation. It made me feel sick. "Tom, why don't you take a break and have a shower? Don't you have to go back to the hospital tonight? Amy can't manage on her own." Tom nodded, "I have to go." I thought Tom was suspicious of me. Otherwise, why would he ask why I had no ideas? But as soon as we got to the hospital, he was swamped, with no time to care about me or the company matters. My negotiations with the president of Wisdom Corporation went smoothly, and we quickly signed the contract. However, the team for this project still consisted of Tom's people. I couldn't be too harsh. I had to take things step by step. While I was struggling to figure out how to break up the team, they gave me the perfect opportunity. "This is all the president's decision, I'm just following his instructions." The troublemaker appeared. I smiled slightly, "But I'm the one in charge of this project now, and Tom has handed full control of it to me." The person was one of Tom's longtime associates and clearly didn't take me seriously. "If that's how you feel, then I'll quit this project. If you've got someone to replace me, fine, if not, that's not my problem." I had been waiting for this exact response. "It seems like you're not just ready to quit this project, you're thinking about leaving the company altogether, aren't you?" "That's not what I meant. I respect your decision. Go settle your pay with the finance department." Don't worry, you've contributed a lot to the company. I won't let you leave empty-handed. I lowered my head after I finished speaking, refusing to look at him anymore. Vice President. I picked up my folder and stood up, ignoring him as I called for my assistant. Meeting time. Before the meeting ended, I got a call from Tom. His voice was even more exhausted than usual as he asked why I had fired someone. Did he run to you to complain? I asked, feeling both wronged and angry. Tom, I'm not just the company's VP, I'm also your wife. Your people treat me like I'm invisible. Shouldn't you stand up for me? Or do you not care about me either? That's not what I meant. But I didn't give Tom a chance to explain. Because you weren't there, the president of Wisdom Corporation was furious. I barely managed to stabilize the project, yet your people refused to listen to me, claiming they're just following the president's orders. Tom, maybe you should come back. I'm done with this project. Just as Tom was about to speak, Amy started making a scene. Brooks keeps crying out in pain, and you're still on the phone. Are you even Brooks? Brooks' father? Tom didn't let Amy finish. I can't leave the hospital right now. Please take care of the Wisdom Project for me. With that, he hung up. The man was fired. But I wasn't that happy, it was just one person. Even if I fired everyone from the company, it would still belong to Tom. I needed to make the shareholders lose faith in him. Next, I fired a few more people, all of whom were Tom's trusted aides. Eventually, he returned to the company. Brooks' condition has stabilized for now. I'll take over the Wisdom Project. Thanks for handling it during this time. I handed him the documents. You should have come back sooner. Oh, by the way, I've fired a few more people. They didn't respect me. Of course, if you want them back, feel free. They may not care about me as the company's VP or your wife, but now that I'm no longer managing the project, I don't have to see them. I have no intention of bringing them back. I've spoiled them too much. Tom could only say that. But I was a little surprised, I thought he wouldn't give me that much face. I'm heading back to my office. Tom took the documents and walked out. I called after him, Tom, why don't we take Doreen out for dinner tonight? You haven't spent time with her in a while. She misses you. Tom turned around and nodded. That evening, I took Doreen and Tom to Doreen's favorite restaurant. Don't be fooled by her young age, Doreen, even at just 4, is a picky eater. Tom wiped Doreen's mouth. Look at her, she's making a mess. I said with a smile. Tom immediately took out a handkerchief and wiped Doreen's mouth as she sat in her high chair. I clasped my hands together under my chin, smiling as I watched the scene unfold. That moment was captured in a photo, which quickly spread everywhere, newspapers, online. The next afternoon, Tom received a call from Amy during a meeting. Tom, what the hell are you doing? You're ignoring our son because he's dying, but you're having a great time with your daughter, huh? Have you fallen for Janice? You better get to the hospital right now, or I'm going to your office to make a scene, and let Janice know that Brooks is your son. I'm coming right now. Tom hung up. His face darkened, as though a storm was brewing. Though I didn't hear Amy's exact words, I could easily guess what she said. That's why I had arranged for someone to take the photo of our family of 3 and spread it. Tom, where are you going? The president of Wisdom Corporation is still here. If there's something urgent, let me finish presenting my part and I'll handle the rest. After this presentation, I'll be completely done with the project. Tom looked at me for a moment, sighed, and said, Janice, you'll need to continue managing this project. I took a deep breath, pretending to be shocked and angry, raising my voice. Tom, don't be ridiculous. The president of Wisdom is right here. If you go back on your word. That was enough. The president of Wisdom's face had already darkened. Tom went over to apologize. The president of Wisdom sneered, no problem, Tom. You must have something more important to deal with. The contract's signed. I can't back out now, can I? Tom hurriedly said, I have a real emergency. I'm truly sorry. The president stopped talking to him and turned to me, Miss Janice, shall we continue? You're not going to treat this project lightly, are you? What did you say to me before we signed the contract? I pretended to hesitate, but Tom grabbed my hand, pleading with his eyes, Janice, this project is really important. Please. Fine then. After watching Tom leave, I apologized to the president profusely until his anger finally subsided. I seized the opportunity, Tom is Tom, and I am me. I consider it an honor to collaborate with you. In the future, I hope both Tom's family and mine will receive your support. Only then did the president smile again. I almost forgot, you're Bowen's heir. Bowen's lucky to have such a capable daughter. I'm envious. I breathed a little easier. He would probably be on my side from now on. Brooks' infection worsened, and he was sent to the ICU. Tom had been by his side at the hospital for nearly 2 weeks. During this time, he hadn't come home. Thankfully, Doreen had her grandparents with her and didn't seem to miss him too much. I felt relieved. Even if Doreen grows up without a father, she will still have plenty of love. As for the company, I had already removed all of Tom's people from the project team, firing who I could and relegating the rest to insignificant tasks. I knew I was being bold, but Tom was truly tied up at the hospital. But there were still his parents to deal with. Tom's father had returned to the company. As the chairman, he carried significant weight. He asked me about the project, and I answered truthfully, leaving nothing out. Of course, he wasn't there because of a single project or a few fired employees. Finally, he said, Tom's been away from the company for a while, and I've heard you fired quite a few of his people. Janice, we're family, so I won't beat around the bush. Your actions are raising suspicions. There's talk in the company that your marriage with Tom is in trouble and that you're trying to take over the entire family business. I laughed. Dad, do you really think I'm that capable? Besides, my marriage with Tom is nothing more than a union of interests. I even gave birth to his family's child. Tom doesn't have any other children, this company will belong to Doreen in the future. Why would I need to take over now? Dad, I'm not that short-sighted. Tom's father paused for a moment and then nodded. I continued, I know. Our family business is so big, it's better to have a son to inherit it. That's why I plan to have a son with Tom. As for Doreen, I just hope she can live a carefree life. Hearing this, a smile appeared on his face. You're right. I also hope Doreen doesn't have to work so hard. She's our little princess, she just needs to spend money. He's so happy just because I mentioned having a son. How ridiculous. After seeing Tom's father off, I called my dad to ask him how the investigation into Tom and Amy was going. I needed solid evidence of Tom's affair to launch a public campaign and force the shareholders to act. I was just about to call you, my dad snorted, has Tom done a paternity test yet? I had a feeling about what was coming and grew a little excited. Dad, explain clearly. My dad gave another cold laugh, that Brooks isn't even Tom's son. I'll send you the photos in a bit. After we hung up, I received the pictures my dad sent. In the photos, Amy was heavily pregnant, standing next to a man who wasn't Tom. My dad also told me that Amy hadn't delivered early as she claimed, it was all a show for Tom. He had already sent someone abroad to find that man and was preparing to have a DNA test done between Brooks and him. When this blows up, let's see how Tom explains it to the shareholders. I thought about it and said, Dad, let's stir things up together. Wait for my signal. My dad spent some money to get Brooks' DNA profile. When compared with Tom's, it turned out they weren't father and son. Tom, oh Tom, you've really made a joke of yourself, just like I did in my previous life. I made some preparations and took time to visit Brooks. When I arrived at the hospital with a fruit basket and bouquet, Tom and Amy were in the middle of an argument. Do you think just staying in the hospital will make Brooks wake up? What about the company? Should I just ignore it? Amy was crying, all you care about is the company. What about Brooks? I walked over, what's going on here? Tom's angry face quickly turned panicked, and he shot a warning look at Amy before rushing over to me. Janice, why didn't you tell me you were coming? I haven't been to see Brooks once since he's been in the hospital, and today's the first time I found time. I handed the fruit basket and flowers to Amy. Sorry, Amy. Don't blame me. How's Brooks doing? Amy glared at me hatefully. You're just here to laugh at me, aren't you? Why do you always say that? Why would I laugh at you? Tom immediately jumped in. Amy, how can you speak to Janice like that? Only then did Amy calm down. I turned to Tom and said, you should go back to the company. I'll stay here today. Amy and I are friends, after all, I should help her out. Amy clearly didn't want Tom to leave. But Tom was exhausted, mentally and physically. His son was lying in the ICU, teetering between life and death, and Amy had probably been causing him a lot of stress too. When things are good, everything is perfect. But now it's just a mess. Tom left. Amy took a deep breath and said coldly, you can go too. I don't need you here. I let out a mocking laugh, don't misunderstand me. I just came to see if you've gotten what you deserve yet. Amy's eyes widened in shock. What did you say? You vile woman, how could you make a child commit arson? Is it because a child won't face legal consequences for murder? But look, Doreen's fine, while your son is the one lying in the hospital. Karma, isn't it? Janice. Amy raised her hand to slap me. I grabbed her wrist and shoved her away. Save your strength for fighting with Tom. Your son's in this state. Do you think Tom still cares about you too? He cares about me and Doreen now. Tisk, men are selfish. He's juggling two families. Now that things aren't working out here, he's thinking about coming back to me. Isn't it amazing how good men are at business? Amy's pupils trembled violently. How do you know everything? How do I know? Because I've already died once, and so has Doreen. This time, it's their turn to die. Amy, I won't let Tom come here anymore. He'll listen to me because your son is done for. With that, I turned and walked away. Amy screamed and lunged at me, but I spun around and shoved her to the ground. I glanced back at her coldly, then strode away. Amy's curses echoed behind me, but I didn't care. When I got home, I laid everything out for Tom. He grabbed my arm tightly. Janice, forgive me. From now on, I'll only stay with you and Doreen, okay? Tell your dad we'll have another son. I know you still love me, and you don't want to leave me. I promise, I'll never see that woman and her son again. I laughed coldly in my heart. This man was the epitome of selfishness. I thought he loved Amy and Brooks. Turns out, he only loves himself. Fine, I'll give you one last chance. Tom really stopped going to the hospital. He even blocked Amy's number and had someone monitor her. He was even planning to send Amy and Brooks out of the country. But I had my people stop that in secret. In fact, my people even helped Amy get to Tom's parents' house. She caused quite a scene there. The media, who had been tipped off, swarmed in, and the drama began. Tom, you're a monster. You won't even care for your own son. Fine, I'll show everyone your true colors now. Tom, you're just a cheating scumbag. All these years, you've been sleeping with me and still refuse to divorce your wife. I even gave you a son. You said everything you have would go to your son. Now that something's happened to him, you've gone running back to your wife and daughter. Tom had his people restrain Amy and kick the media out. But the news still got out. Tom's family business took a massive hit, with the stock prices plummeting. Meanwhile, I bought up many of the shares on the market and informed my dad that it was time for Brooks' real father to make his entrance. And now, I was at the shareholders' meeting. Tom's father sat at the front, his face dark with anger. The shareholders were all speaking out. Tom, you owe us an explanation. Chairman, I propose we remove Tom from all positions within the company. I just had to sit back and watch. I didn't even need to speak. Tom's father's chest heaved with rage. At that moment, a commotion erupted outside. Chairman, there's a man downstairs, claiming to be Brooks' father, demanding that Tom compensate his son. After an awkward silence, Tom shot to his feet. What? He stormed out. I immediately went to support Tom's father. Dad, let's go see what's happening. At the company's entrance, the media had gathered again. Brooks' biological father shouted, demanding that Tom pay for his son. Tom yelled angrily, "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Brooks' father." Oh, and another key player was about to make her entrance. I had brought Amy here. When she saw Brooke's father, she froze in shock. "Ken? What are you doing here?" Ken's eyes were bloodshot as he stormed up and grabbed Amy by the hair. "Give me my son. You said we'd use Brooks to get money from Tom, and if we got lucky, Tom's whole family empire would go to Brooks. Now look, we've got nothing, Brooks is about to die, and you owe me my son." He threw Amy to the ground and started beating her, then charged at Tom. "Give me my son." Tom's eyes were bloodshot. "Amy. You lied to me. Whose son is Brooks, really?" Amy sobbed, unable to say a word. The two men started fighting. Tom's father, unable to take the shock, collapsed to the ground, convulsing. The scene was complete chaos. Tom's father was rushed to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with a stroke and left paralyzed. He could only sit in a wheelchair, unable to speak clearly, drooling whenever he tried. The matter became more and more serious, and the entire Tom family group became a joke to everyone. Not only did the stock price fall, but it was also despised by people in the circle. Tom was furious and went to question Amy and Brooke's biological father. He finally figured out that Brooks was not his child. At this time, I stood up and wanted to divorce Tom. He cheated first, and Doreen's custody belonged to me. Tom refused to divorce and begged me to give him a chance. How could I give him a chance? He vented all his anger on Amy, and did not look for his own reasons at all. He actually drove directly to kill Amy and Brooke's father. There was also news from the hospital that Brooks had died. Tom regained his composure after being detained, and began to regret again, saying that he did not kill intentionally, he was just too angry, and he killed impulsively because of his anger. But the court's judgment was not something he could influence with a word. Tom's family was in chaos, and I stood up to take charge of the situation. Tom's mother cried and begged me, "Don't divorce Tom, you are the only one now, otherwise the shareholders will not let us go." I looked at her coldly. "On the day I gave birth prematurely, you did something on the stairs, right?" Her face turned pale. You. It doesn't matter whether you admit it or not, you have nothing now. I will never let Doreen admit that you are her grandmother again. You should think about your future. As for your son," I sneered, "he probably won't be able to support you in your old age." She wanted to rush over, but I pushed her away. She could only sit on the ground and cry. On the way out, I received a call from the police station saying that Tom wanted to see me. I went. Tom was also injured, with gauze wrapped around his head, and was still in the detention ward. When he saw me, he rushed over, but was stopped by the police again. He was no longer as handsome as before, with tears streaming down his face, so disgusting. "Janice, I know everything. Are you treating me like this because I didn't save Doreen?" I was shocked. Tom actually awakened his past life memories. "But so what?" I sneered, "Since you know everything, then die clearly." I turned and walked out. I heard Tom shouting behind me. "Janice, I was wrong. I love you, Janice. I agreed to marry you because I love you and I love Doreen too. Don't worry, I will be reborn again. Once again, I will definitely treat you and our daughter well." Tom was sentenced to life imprisonment. His father is still drooling in the hospital. As for his mother, I have plenty of ways to deal with her. But I don't. I'd better do some good deeds and just send her to the countryside. I have completely taken over the Tom family group, and I will lead the company out of the predicament, because these are all Doreen's property. After another day of hard work, I got home from get off work. "Mom." Doreen rushed over and hugged me, saying aggrievedly, "Mom, Grandpa cheated." I looked at the Monopoly on the coffee table, then looked at my dad, and pursed my lips helplessly. When I was a child, my dad taught me to play mahjong, and after teaching me, he cheated. It was Doreen's turn again. But fortunately, he didn't teach Doreen to play mahjong. My mom and the nanny came out of the kitchen. "Stop playing, wash your hands, and eat." My dad wanted to come over and hug Doreen. Doreen opened her arms. "Okay, then I forgive Grandpa." I watched my dad holding Doreen to wash his hands, and my heart was warm. That's great. Everything should be like this. Everything should be like this. End.